Center, and 1 minute to the launch of TIBA 1 for Thales Alenia Space and Airbus Defence and Space on behalf of the Government of Egypt, and GX5 for the operator Inmarsat, built by Thales Alenia Space.
It's button 25 and I'm here to watch.
Our best wishes to all the teams. We're pretty set to go. Let's watch now and wish everybody the best of luck.
T-minus 25. Launch was delayed by about 15 minutes or so due to weather.
À tous de DDO, attention pour les décomptes finales. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top.
Allumage vocal.
Allumage vocal.
Allumage EAP. Décollage.
Allumage EAP, décollage.
I know that's just that particular stage. As in, the vehicle should be visible later on.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
I presume that means flight parameters are normal. I do not speak French.
La propulsion est nominale.
I don't know, I do not
Well,
speak
that
French.
is a spectacular sight.
Not
Ariane
disagree.
5, flight number 250, the 250th Ariane vehicle to launch from the pad here at the Guyana Space Center, blazing a trail across the equatorial skies. Flying supersonic, faster than the speed of sound. And the vibrations are reaching us here at the Guyana Space
Tous les
Center.
paramètres à bord sont normaux.
He's telling us that everything on board is going according to plan. We're flying out east across the Atlantic. TIBA 1 and GX5 have started
La
their
propulsion est
journey.
nominale.
And he's telling us the propulsion is nominal.
Yes, nominal, very nominal indeed. So the first thing that will happen in the first
Right
mega
now the
event-
boosters are doing all the work. They're
Yes,
those
those
two
boosters
big
separating.
solid tanks on each side of the launcher. Once they burn their propellant, they separate and fall away, and we might be lucky enough to see that.
if the cameraman can get his focus right. Oh, there we go, that's the separation there. So the SRBs still have some
And we
propellant in
could
them.
just see them back
Séparation
there.
Their
des
very
étages
nature.
d'accélération en poudre.
Those two big boosters, those two dots we saw moving away. There
Yeah,
we
you
can
can
see
see
them.
them
Look at
falling away.
that.
There's
Dot
still
in the
some
middle is the
residual
Vulcan
thrust.
engine on the main stage.
So they're falling away nicely.
And the two lights on either side are the boosters. We don't need them anymore. They've burnt their propellant and we are shedding weight. That's the name of the game. We need to get rid of our weight as quickly as we can, and those were propelling us away from our Earth's gravity.
La propulsion est nominale.
Approaching fairing separation.
Bottom left is our altitude. We're 106 kilometers high and climbing. Our distance in the middle, if you were to draw a straight line from the pad, you can still see those boosters
Langage de
moving
la
away.
coiffe.
There we are, fairing separation.
And
there.
we have confirmation there that the fairing has now separated, and look how those parts flex. It's called the breathing mode. It's all part of the plan. We
Yeah, I
don't
think you
need
can
the
see them
fairing
flying away
anymore
there.
because we are technically in space, and
Yes,
our
they have passed the
satellites can
camera
be
line.
exposed to space now because there's no longer any friction, and the captain has switched off the
La trajectoire
seatbelt
est nominale.
signs.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Everything's going normally. bottom right-hand side, we can see the speed is 263 kilometers per second, not per hour, per second.
Did he just say
We will be
263?
getting faster and faster and heading
2.7
towards
now.
speeds of above 9 kilometers per second later.
Yes, that's how
Top
orbits
right-hand
work.
side is our trajectory.
In technical terms, orbits aren't
The cross
being
is the
so
actual
high up
position
that
of
you
our
don't tap.
launch
It's not about
vehicle.
going up high.
The
It's
trajectory
about
is
going
our planned
sideways really
trajectory.
fast.
La trajectoire est nominale.
If you're going sideways fast,
Everything's
you can fall
going
towards the
according
earth.
to plan. Everything
Sort
is
of.
nominal.
That's an
You can see
oversimplification.
there in the front is our first satellite, which is going to be separated. TIBA 1. You can see it there for the first time.
Tous les
We're
paramètres
going
à
to
bord
find
sont
out a
normaux.
little bit more now about TIBA 1 in this film.
Got that and the 5 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Merhaba bikum fi Guyana. My name is Valérie Boucher, and I am the TIBA 1 Program Director at Ariane Space. My work mainly consists in interfacing with the customer and in preparing the mission for TIBA 1. TIBA 1 is a civil and government telecommunication satellite for Egypt. It was developed by Thales Alenia Space and Airbus Defence and Space as co-prime contractors, with TAS acting as the consortium's lead partner. TAS is in charge of the communication payload, whereas Airbus is responsible for the Eurostar 3000 platform. Airbus is Ariane Space direct customer for this mission. Ariane Space and Airbus has developed a fruitful cooperation since the creation of the European Launch Service Provider in 1980. The satellite will be owned and operated by the government of Egypt. It will be the fourth satellite launched by Ariane Space for Egypt. On behalf of Ariane Space, I would like to thank Airbus, Thales Alenia Space, and the government of Egypt for their confidence. And I wish all the best to TIBA 1. Hassaid TIBA 1.
You don't speak Arabic. But
And
everything
our
that
next
makes them
satellite
lines.
to be released is GX5 for Inmarsat. Can't see it right now because it's hidden
Tous les paramètres à
inside
bord sont
the
normaux.
Silda.
black structure, the fairing.
Silda. Call it properly.
Ariane Space and Inmarsat go back to 1981 with the Marex series. We're going to get a closer look now at the most advanced satellite in Inmarsat's GX fleet.
Sure. Remember that while we're at it?
La propulsion est nominale.
Inmarsat is a faithful customer of European industry. Thales Alenia Space is the prime contractor of GX5. This satellite is based on the Heritage platform, well known by Ariane Space. Several satellites of this type have already flown on Ariane 5. GX5 was assembled and tested in Cannes in the south of France. The telecom payload was tailored by Thales Alenia Space on the specific need of Inmarsat. It will support mobile communications over Europe and the Middle East. Inmarsat and Ariane Space contracted the launch of GX5 end of 2017. In the meantime, several meetings were held to prepare the mission and the satellite operations in
Acquisition
Kourou.
de la télémesure.
All interfaces between GX5 and Ariane 5 were duly documented and approved by all parties. This includes the detailed sequence of events on the day of the launch. It starts with satellite wake-up early in the morning, followed by several hours of cross-checks by launch space and satellite teams involving remote stations all over the world. Ariane Space, CNES and Ariane Group wish their customers a successful mission.
See, during that there was an acquisition of signal at Natal in
And
Brazil.
during that film, we picked up the signal at the
Le
tracking
pilotage est
station.
calme, tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
The tracking station in Natal,
Oh,
and
so
that's in
corridors
Brazil,
get separated.
on the northeastern coast of South America.
Speeds
And the
6.5
flight
kilometers per
path
second.
takes us out across the Atlantic, across Africa, and along the equator. The launch is sending signals back to Earth during its flight, and we have a network of stations along that flight path,
And
keeping us
essentially we're
in
filming
constant watch, if you like, over the health of the systems.
Extinction EPC.
Okay,
And this
separation
is now the switch
Séparation
off
de l'étage principal cryotechnique.
and ignition.
of the main stage, and the upper stage has now switched its engine
You can
on.
see this accelerates much slower than the previous
You can
stage.
see that's what it looks
Allumage
like
ESC.
There we go, confirmation there that the upper stage has now switched its engine on, and that's cameras on board a previous flight showing us what it looks like when the main stage is jettisoned. So you're looking here now at the upper stage is the white disc, the black structure is what we call the cylinder. That's a protection mechanism for the satellite underneath it. Today it's GX5, and it also allows us to attach the satellite in front. It makes the dual launches possible.
Which of course is a hallmark of Ariane space.
We're really entering now the next phase in this flight, because the upper stage has taken the wheel and its engine is going to burn for about 16 minutes, and he's just told us that the propulsion is nominal, it's normal. TIBA 1 is owned and operated by the Egyptian government.
That's interesting. TIBA is the Egyptian for Thebes.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
I mean, that's some good music, I'll give it that. Very specific bit of Libya. That's the balance that you cover. At least, you know.
Well, that gives you a real sense of just how important
Otherwise
this satellite is going to be for
Yeah, it's
everybody in
probably
Egypt.
just- yeah, we-
And actually,
we
TIBA
actually
1 is the
have
fourth
a
satellite
central
which
Acquisition de la
space
télémesure par la
has
station Ascension.
launched for Egypt. The previous ones were Nilesat. And we're just hearing there now that we're picking up the signal at the Ascension Island tracking station,
Propulsion est nominale.
Tiny island.
and that the
I think so
propulsion
belongs
is
to kind of
normal.
in the middle.
Ascension
But
Island
nowhere.
is a tiny volcanic island in the South Atlantic. It's halfway between South America and Africa. I believe that NASA
Le
had a
pilotage est
station
calme.
there until 1989. TIBA teams there. Airbus Defence and Space and Thales Alenia Space built TIBA 1 as co-prime contractors. They've created an advanced satellite.
With the TIBA-1 satellite, Egypt takes its place among the big players in space, as its new satellite is a jewel of advanced technology. It will give Egypt a dual-use civil and government telecommunication system that is extremely efficient and secure in K-band, based on latest digital payload and antennas technologies. This program had ambitious objectives, both in terms of performance and technical challenges. These were made thanks to the extended cooperation and trust between the Egyptian customer team and the French industrial team, Thales Alenia Space and Airbus. On behalf of this industrial consortium, I would like to thank the government of Egypt for the confidence in us and the quality of our great cooperation. We are committed to standing side by side and every step of the way. I also want to thank the French authorities for their continuous support all along this program. We all wish the very best for TIBA-1.
TIBA-1 is the first dual telecommunication satellite for the government of Egypt. It is a particular honor for Airbus to build this satellite and its ground segment together with Thales Alenia Space. We know the vital importance of this program for the national security and the sovereignty of Egypt, as well as for your economic development. I would like to thank the government of Egypt for their trust in Airbus and our highly reliable Eurostar 3000 platform. We hope that it opens the door for future collaboration between our countries. I would also like to convey my thanks and recognition to the Airbus teams and, of course, to our partner Thales Alenia Space, who provided the satellite payload. This also is an opportunity for me to warmly congratulate the government of Egypt for the high level of collaboration and professionalism of the Egyptian managers and teams who have shown incredible dedication and involvement in the preparation of the service operations. It's now time for me to wish TIBA-1 a successful launch and a long life in space.
Great cooperation there between the two aerospace giants of Europe to make some superb satellites today. And if you look at... He says everything's normal. The top right-hand side of your screen, you can see the trajectory there. We call that the roller coaster effect. When you can see that we were climbing high into space, then we've dropped a little bit of altitude, and then we start climbing higher again. That's because before we were using all our power to get away from Earth. Now we're going to be using it to be able to start speeding up so we can climb higher and higher later in the flight. So let's turn our attention now to our second passenger, Inmarsat's GX5. It's a hugely advanced satellite for mobile broadband, and it's going to deliver greater capacity than the whole of Inmarsat's existing GX fleet. A word from their CEO now, Rupert Pearce.
As we enter the era of an always-on, hyper-connected world, we can clearly see that connectivity now empowers human potential as never before, and that connectivity can flatten the world by bringing us together. In our 40th anniversary year, we at Inmarsat can be very proud of the role we're playing in building and underpinning this emerging global digital society. Global Express represents the gold standard for global mobile broadband communications and is deployed by thousands of users in the air, at sea, and on land. Already, Inmarsat's maritime GX service, Fleet Express, has been installed on more than 7,000 vessels, and 27 leading airlines have signed up for our aviation GX service, GX Aviation, to provide broadband connectivity to their passengers, while more than 600 business jets have adopted our business aviation GX solution Jet Connects. We're very proud that these GX services are empowering a transformation in these enormous trillion-dollar sectors, including making the maritime and aviation industries more efficient and effective, but also greener and safer. The first 4 GX satellites were launched to deliver seamless global coverage, plus in-orbit redundancy. Today, the terrific initial success of our new GX services are driving us to a second phase of network evolution, as we now look to augment our capabilities to meet huge growth in demand from our customers, as well as keep GX well ahead of our current and future competition. Indeed, the launch of our 5th satellite in the GX fleet represents a step-change advance in the capabilities of our GX services to meet the growing demand for aviation passenger connectivity and commercial maritime services across Europe and the Middle East, delivering a bandwidth increase that is greater than the combined capacity of our entire existing GX fleet, marking the start of an unprecedented enhancement in the overall capacity and capabilities of the GX network. Because we're not stopping here with GX5. Inmarsat is planning to launch a further 7 GX payloads over the coming 4 years. So the future looks incredibly exciting for Inmarsat, our partners and our customers. Et je tiens également à remercier nos partenaires Thales Alenia Space et Ariane Space pour leur service extraordinaire d'innovation, le travail acharné et l'esprit de coopération. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for coming with us on this journey. Today marks another significant step forward as we grow still further global mobile broadband connectivity for all, no matter where you are.
It's a changing world indeed, and teamwork is the name of the game. Now, look, you can see there our tracking stations and our flight path across our planet. We lifted off from Galileo in French Guiana, and right-hand side of the screen there you can see we've picked up a signal at the Libreville tracking station, which is now tracking us, and we're heading out across Africa. We crossed the Atlantic in 20 minutes. It's pretty impressive, and we're climbing higher in altitude now, and the trajectory is nominal. GX5 is the 5th satellite in the Global Express fleet, and it was built by the men and women at Thales Alenia Space.
This launch today is very special for us because we are involved in both satellites aboard Ariane 5. Everyone at Thales Alenia Space feels personally involved in today's mission with a great sense of pride. It is a great honor for Thales Alenia Space to have built the most powerful Global Express satellite to date that will meet the surging demand for high-capacity broadband across Europe and the Middle East. GX5 will play an important role in the dynamic growth of the Global Express network for Inmarsat and will significantly increase its existing capacity for aviation and maritime services. It is fitted with powerful state-of-the-art K-band technology and benefits from the extensive experience from Thales Alenia Space in very high-throughput satellites. At Thales Alenia Space, we have been working with Inmarsat for more than 10 years now, and this fruitful relationship started with Inmarsat EAN. We are committed to continue supporting Inmarsat in its continuing growth by delivering satellites with outstanding performance. Congratulations to all the teams who have worked so hard on this mission. We wish Inmarsat and its customers the very best for today's launch.
Indeed, and we are now 23 minutes, coming up to 24 minutes into that launch, and we're in the range now of the tracking station in Malindi. That's in Kenya, on the east coast of Africa. So the guys and girls there will be monitoring the separation of our satellites. We've crossed Africa, and we'll be heading out across the Indian Ocean. And he's telling us that the propulsion is nominal. It's all going well. So how does Ariane know what to do and when. Well, the upper stage has a brain, the intelligent part. We call it the vehicle equipment bay. And it's more than an onboard computer, really. It's a whole management system, and it analyses information from the engines, the navigation, etc., and it makes decisions for the best outcome of the mission. Right now it's getting ready to switch off the engine.
La propulsion est nominale.
It'll send the cut-off command when it senses that the launcher is correctly orientated. It's going to need to be on track, so going in the right direction. And on time. The computer knows that it needs to fly from 0 seconds to its cut-off time. So it also has to be at the right altitude, of course. And travelling at the right speed. And there you have it. This is the scheduled moment for us to switch the engine on, off rather.
Extinction de l'étage supérieur cryotechnique.
And we have the confirmation there that we have now switched the engine off. So we're entering the next phase. It's called a ballistic phase. It means that we're coasting without the engine, without power. So we are indeed on orbit and at the correct altitude and speed. It means we're now getting ready to start the next phase, which is to prepare to separate our satellites from the mothership. Got a couple of minutes to go until we're scheduled to separate our first passenger. Now these tracking stations that we can see along the flight path are sending the information that they collect back here to what we call the CVI on a hill just behind us here at the Mission Control Center, or the Quick Look Telemetry Display Control Center. And they receive the information from the tracking stations, they process it and analyse it, and they report the flight status of the launcher back to the teams here in Jupiter. So they make a quick selection to check how the flight's progressing in real time, and then they tell the range operations manager when they have confirmation of the main events, so that he or she can then announce them to the range. And of course, later they can analyse the information to see how the vehicle performed and make any adjustments for future flights. So TIBA 1 is our upper passenger, the one at the front, and it's due to separate in a matter of seconds now. We're going through a very precise set of manoeuvres. The upper stage is orientating the satellite so that it can release it onto a very precise orbit.
Yeah, we are separating.
This is the scheduled moment for that
Separation,
separation. And we have confirmation there from the range operations manager that TIBA 1 has indeed separated from the mothership. So congratulations to all the TIBA 1 teams. Now we have some applause there in the Mission Control Center. So TIBA 1 is on its way. Congratulations to everybody in Egypt, of course, and to the co-prime contractors Thales Alenia Space and Airbus Defence and Space. But of course we still have our other satellite attached, GX5. That's underneath the black structure. If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the black structure, the cylinder. Here we go. There's a better shot of it there. It's underneath, so we can't actually see it right now, and we're going to need to release that cylinder before we can start the process of releasing GX5. It's going to be released in about 6 minutes or so, being tracked still by the Malindi teams, where you can see the sort of star. That's where we are heading out now over the Indian Ocean. And TIBA 1 is starting its new life. It needs to climb to 36,000 kilometers to geostationary orbit before it can start delivering services. Various different things will have to happen to it over the next few days. Lots of testing. And here we have now the separation of the cylinder.
Du système de lancement double Ariane.
And confirmation there that it has indeed separated. It moves away. It was protecting GX5.
No, really, it was just...
All big space projects involve a tremendous amount of teamwork and challenges.
Hello, I am the TIBA 1 Program Manager for Airbus.
Hi, I am the TIBA 1 Program Manager for Thales Alenia Space. TIBA 1 program is the first communication space system for the government of Egypt. This space system consists of a Ka-band, dual-use civil and government telecommunication satellite and its associated ground segment with protected and secure ground satellite link. It is based on state-of-the-art antenna technology and digital payload providing resilience, flexibility and interconnectivity.
TIBA 1 satellite is designed and built in partnership between Thales Alenia Space for the payload and Airbus for the platform, which is a flight-proven and highly reliable Eurostar 3000 platform. The communication module was integrated by Thales Alenia Space and handed over to Airbus, who then drove the satellite integration and test phase. Many thanks to both industrial teams for their effort on the program. TIBA 1 was shipped mid-October to the Centre Spatial Guyanais. Many thanks to the Ariane Espace team with the CSG and Ariane Group teams for the hard work for this launch. After the separation from Ariane 5, the Airbus teams in Toulouse will carry out the satellite launch and early orbit phase, which will span over 1 week. It will be followed by the in-orbit test in December before the handover to our customer. I thank here very warmly the government of Egypt for its confidence and for the exchange always held in a good spirit throughout the program.
This program had ambitious objectives both in terms of performance and technical challenges. These were met thanks to the extended cooperation and mutual respect between the Government of Egypt team and the French industrial team Thales Alenia Space and Airbus. I would like to thank all team members from Thales Alenia Space, Thales 6, Thales Egypt and Airbus who contributed to this major project for the Government of Egypt. I would like to thank the Government of Egypt for the quality of our great cooperation.
And now we all wish good luck to TIBA 1.
And Christophe Dallest happens also to be the son of Ariane Space's founder and its first president 40 years ago, Frédéric Dallest. So a nice tie-in there. He's saying everything's normal. Building an advanced satellite system is a feat of engineering and human endeavour.
The biggest challenges of this program were, first of all, the capacity to fit such a complex payload in a relatively small spacecraft, allowing us to fly in Ariane 5 lower position. There is not a single location unused on the satellite body. The second one was the schedule challenge, with a delivery on the launch pad in 28 months, including a full-speed AIT sequence of 6 months. This required a lot of effort and dedication from all to reach this objective. I want to deeply thank both Inmarsat and Thales Alenia Space teams for this journey, as well as Ariane Espace for their fruitful cooperation all along this launch preparation.
After GX5 separation from Ariane 5, operation teams of Thales Alenia Space and Telespatial located in Cannes and Fushino premises will await telemetry's acquisition to perform satellite health check and start the layup activities, consisting to, first, setup of propulsion subsystem in flight configuration, secondly, get power by moving satellite with solar array partially deployed towards the sun, and finally, perform rehearsal of orbit raising maneuver, allowing to bring GX5 on geosynchronous orbit. This first operation will last by 8 hours. The duration of complete layup activities to bring GX5 at targeted longitude will last around 10 days.
Less than a minute now until the planned separation of our second passenger, GX5 for Inmarsat. Everybody concentrating hard. Obviously not just here at the base, but across the world. The tracking stations in Malindi, where the teams there are tracking these separation manoeuvres. And of course at Inmarsat, where they're monitoring the satellite's health and progress, and everyone's getting ready to take on their new baby, start the process of flying their new satellite.
Séparation Inmarsat GX5.
And we
Oh,
have
yes,
separation
separation.
confirmed of Inmarsat GX5. Great news, Ariane 5 has delivered her second passenger. Congratulations to everybody at Inmarsat. Best wishes as you take charge of your spacecraft. Happy faces here and jubilant smiles. 2 new satellites are born.
Well, not born, but it's put in orbit.
A job
did exist
very,
before the
very well done. Lots of handshakes and big slaps on the back, no doubt. For some people, the work is done. Some people have worked for years to get ready for today. And for other people, of course, the work's just beginning. The teams in the control centres are now taking charge of their babies, monitoring these first manoeuvres. Wishing them all the very best now for that. And of course, other teams will be able to relax this evening. Setting the podium for the speeches that we like to have after the launches and after the events.
Sure, don't like to stick around. So yeah, guys, that was launch TIBA 1 and Inmarsat GX5.
These teams all know each other well, of course, and they've been working very closely